Alright, and I am live. Alright, so this is going to be my Book 2, Act 7, Chapter 1 guide. Originally, I had pre-recorded this, and unfortunately my commentary didn't go through, which led me to try to convert the video, which didn't work. So, pretty much I'm just redoing it. So, just wanted to let you guys know what was going on there. I'm going to be going through chapter 7.1 through 7.3 in this part of the guide. And then a little bit later today, I'm going to do a part 2 and then just cover the rest. So, sorry for the wait. That's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and jump right in. And I just have random champs in here that I was using. But we're just going to go through the lanes. The plan is to talk about the bosses, talk about the paths to the bosses, and then we can just go from there. Okay? So we're going to start up here with Yondu. And we're going to cover, actually, you know what? Let's cover the path, and then we'll go to the boss. So first path, we're going to go up from here. And you're going to go up to Rona. And this is the flare path. Okay? Flare / colorblind. So obviously you don't want to have champs of the same class, of course, because you'll get that degen. Other than that, obviously flare is fun, so just bring the right champs. For this particular path, it really doesn't matter who you bring. Just maybe have somebody for that Ultron up there. He can, you know, be a pest sometimes. But other than that, pretty simple path. And then let's go ahead and knock out this second path over here. So if you're going this way, you got to deal with can't stop, won't stop. Muscle Wizard, which is actually a buff for Mystic Champ. So every time you knock a defender down, there's a 100% chance to gain an unstoppable buff for 6 seconds. So just keep that in mind. Mystics are really good here. Claire, Symbiote Supreme, Sorcerer Supreme. There's a ton of good Mystic Champs you can bring in for this. Really, you just want to worry about nullifiers here. And if you don't have that, obviously just know how to fight. Can't stop, won't stop. Which, for the sake of the video, the duration of the attacker's unstoppable effects are increased by 100%. However, the defender takes 75% less damage unless the attacker is unstoppable. So, for most of the in-game players, I'm sure you're aware of that. Also, another thing about this guy, I don't want to hold anyone's hand. I'm sure if you're at Book 2, you know, at this point you definitely got good skill. And you have a good idea of how the game works, mechanics and champs and whatnot. So I don't want to hold anyone's hand, but you know, at the same time, just want to be a little bit of a guide since I did 100% it already. That's how I got Thronebreaker. So, all right, let's go over the path here. As far as this path, honestly, the defenders aren't bad at all. I don't think there's really anyone you have to really worry about. Colossus, just, you know, obviously watch out for that special too. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So let's go on to Yondu here. First boss we're going to talk about. Now, take in mind, my original video was 47 minutes long. I'm going to try to cut that down to a half an hour. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, Yondu, first boss. So he's got super masochism. That is the key to this fight. You really want to make sure that... you know, of course, you have a champ that can handle super masochism. Now, I forgot to mention this. Once you get to this part of the path, don't just go straight to the boss. And you may hear me say that another time, but make sure you have a make sure you have the right counters, because there's a couple of bosses in here where if you don't have the right counters, you're gonna have a very bad time. So just make sure, you know, you got that covered. But anyways, back to Yondu. So he's got super masochism, which is every 5 seconds, the next stun, bleed, poison, shock, incinerate, cold snap, or rupture debuff triggered on the defender is immediately purified and applied to the attacker. Okay, so each time this each time this effect triggers, the defender will regenerate 5% of their max health, knocking down the defender, refreshing the cooldown, and increasing future cooldowns by 1 second. So just be really wary of that. That's pretty much it. Other than that, he's pretty much just a Yondu. Foresight's helping you out here, so every time you intercept, you know, you're getting that 200% attack rating if you're confident with that. But you don't have to, of course. That's going to be for 5 seconds, by the way. And then he's got Get Richer and Feats of Power, which really don't matter that much. But it's really all about that super masochism. So let's go ahead and move on to the next path here. And we're going to go over to Claire. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so she has Footloose, Coolant Link, so you don't want to bring robotic attackers in. Juke, which really just helps you out. Let me see here. Prey on the Weak. Doesn't really matter that much. Just remember to all special attacks unblockable. So hopefully by this point you're, no problem dexing those specials with Claire. Don't get back into a corner, of course. But other than that, it's really a pretty straightforward fight. You just want to make sure you have someone that can counter her unstoppable. If you can, I mean, you can still do the fight without it to nullify it, but if you can nullify it, great. But Cap is extremely good for that fight. Captain America Infinity War. So let's go ahead and look at the paths here. We're going to start with the top one here. So you're going to start out with Nebula, and you're going to make your way over to King Groot. Okay. With this path, you've got Masochism, Double Down, which really, let me see here. Whenever a skill attacker fails to apply a debuff to the defender due to immunity, they gain a precision buff. So yeah, that really just helps you out if you're a skill attacker. I would suggest Aegon on this path, but unfortunately Aegon is broke right now. So, but there's other great, there's other great skill champs out there you can use as well. Nick Fury, Hitmonkey, Falcon. There's tons of champs you can use. Killmonger. Anyways, and then you got Power Focus too, which is really not a big deal at all. Now, as far as champs you're going to be facing here, in my opinion, I think there's only two potential difficult fights. And that's this one, so make sure you have counter for Ultron. Of course, obviously he evades, obviously he causes poison, so, just don't get hit or have a counter. Now, as far as King Groot, we all know he's just really slow to fight. So, I had actually thought about bringing in Voodoo for that fight, but I've got him at 455. So, I think I took another route, but I would imagine Voodoo would be really, 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 really good for that fight. But, at the same time, you can take advantage of that skill attacker bonus there. So, let's just go on to the next path here leading up to Claire. Let me see. Okay, so you're going to start here with Iron Man. And then you're going to make your way over to Gwenpool before you get to Claire. Now, this path, as you can see, let me see, it's Oscillate, Invade, Kinetic Instigator. So that one, I have to refresh on. That's when opponents generate power when striking the champion's block. So, okay. So, pretty much with this, honestly, if you have Corvus as a 5 or a 6 star, I would strongly suggest Corvus for this path. Even if you have to revive him up because of that invade damage, he's really good for this path. Because really, you can get 4 charges by the time you get to Nova here. Obviously, there's going to be other champs that do great. Really, you can use anyone as long as you understand how invade works. But Corvus is very good because by the time you get here, you could potentially have 4 charges. And then obviously you could use him against Claire too if you want. So only hard fights on this path. Definitely Nova, of course. Just know the mechanics of Nova. And Morningstar, just watch out for that special too. Because I think I got destroyed when I was using Colossus. I wasn't paying attention. And yeah, that special 2 hit, and that was it. So just be careful of that. But so that's pretty much it for that one. Let's go on to the last boss of this chapter, which is Black Widow. My first fight against her was actually kind of tough. I think a lot of people had some issues with this. The key to this fight is only hit her if you can. Only hit her when she is stunned. And there's a passive stun that occurs because of this bullet time node. And that's really the time you want to hit her. Other than that, feint, evade, whatever you got to do, parry. But, yeah, as far as champs for her, Colossus can actually work. He's not the best. Colossus can work. I found that Archangel, even at rank 455, is really good against her. So I would strongly recommend Archangel. Even if you have to change and bring him in right there, I would strongly recommend it. But I mean, you can use whoever you want. But he's going to shut down the evade, and it's really, he's very, very good for that fight. But anyways, let's look at the paths here. I think this is Incinerate. Yeah, yeah. So this has Pleasure to Burn, God of Light, and Mighty Charge. Obviously, I'm not going to go over Mighty Charge, but Pleasure to Burn. So pretty much Incinerate, debuffs, and passives deal 25% more damage to the defender. And they take 90% less damage from anything other than Incinerate. So obviously you want to bring in Incinerate champs. Excuse me. And honestly, for me, the fights aren't that hard. What makes this interesting, though, let me see, the Mighty Charge. You just got to watch out for that. Other than that, you're pretty good. Just make sure you got Incinerate immune, because you got the God of Light on here, too. Colossus would work, but he can't cause Incinerate, so that's not going to work. So I suggest Sunspot, Human Torch. If you have one of those two, they're extremely good for this path, and you can do it. There's other Incinerate champs out there, but in my opinion, without really thinking about it too hard, I would say those were definitely the most, just the best champs for that path, most efficient. So let's go on to this path right here, and this is going to do it for 7.1.1. Let me see here. Okay, so this is Turtling. Got the Thorns node there. Cosmic Fracture, which actually is a buff for your Cosmic Champions. So light attacks have a chance to armor break the defender, which is really good. Then Cutting Wire. So you don't want to bring in a robot champion like a Gilly or a Sentinel or something like that. You don't want to do that here. But Corvus can work. Corvus can work here. Got to be careful with those Thorns. But honestly, the MVP for this particular path, in my opinion, is Magneto. Because, let's see, you have 6 champs leading up to the boss. And out of 6, 5 of them are metal. So if you know how to fight with Magneto, you're good to go. And it's just that simple. The 455 is just fine. You don't have to have a rank 3 6-star or anything like that. It just depends on your skill. But I would strongly suggest Magneto for every fight other than Emma Frost here. And if you, I mean, other than that, you really just need a some type of counter for Emma. But it's really not that bad. Even if you have to use 1 or 2 of your champs just on her. Then you get here, just make sure you got somebody for that Black Widow. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Really not much to go over. I mean, if you're not going to use Magneto, you're probably going to have a little bit of a rougher time on that path in particular, but you can still get around it. It's not definitely not the end of the world. So let's go ahead and look at 7.1.2. And I think my game is froze. A little shout out to Aunt May there. Just because that helps me get back to my game, so that works out for me. All right. Okay, so 7.1. Let's see, 7.1.2. This is Breakout. Let's go ahead and knock this out real quick. All right, so just skipping the story for the guide's sake. So let's just start at the top like we did before. So Venom. Venom, in my opinion, was actually one of the easier bosses. Surprisingly. Now he does have no hit mercy, so don't knock him down. If you can, don't knock him down, because every time you do, he's going to gain a 350% critical damage rating for 10 seconds. So yeah, just try not to knock him down too much. Don't bring a robot attacker, of course, with Cutting Wires. Foresight helps you out. That's just intercepting. And he's got the Thorns node. Honestly, I one-shot him both times with Claire. So I would imagine any top tier Mystic should be fine in this particular fight. And obviously you just have to know how to fight Venom. But that's pretty much it, honestly. But let's talk about the paths leading up to Venom there. So if you're taking the left path first, you're looking at Encroaching Stun, which can be rough sometimes. This just depending on how the fight goes. And then Hurt Locker, so obviously if you throw a special 1, make sure you throw a special 2. If you throw a special 3, just like that. So you don't get that crazy degen on you. So mainly it's just that Encroaching Stun you really want to worry about. As far as this path, it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully you know how to parry Stealthy there. Definitely bring a poison immune for man thing there. Excuse me. Um, I mean, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's really pretty much it. Then it's just all up to your skill, your own personal skill. So let's go on over to this path over here on the right. You're going to start with Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil. And on this path, they have destructive feedback, so really pay attention to that. Evolutionary advantage, which actually just helps the attacker out, because every time the defender is suffering pretty much from a debuff, you pretty much just get an attack increase. So, and it really doesn't matter what type of champ you use here, which is nice. Then he's got, then they have overreach as well. So, the main thing you want to worry about though is destructive feedback. So, there's two ways to go about it. You can either fight into the shield and not get hit while the yellow shield is up. And you can do it that way, or you can take it the smooth sailing way. And what you can do is you can kind of wait it out. These gonna be longer fights, so maybe save this path for last, or one of your last paths, because these are gonna be some long fights here. As far as the champs you're going against here, honestly, there's not really much to worry about. Obviously, you want to know how to fight and have maybe a counter for Invisible Woman. She can be annoying. You really want to watch out for Massacre Special 2. Because if you block that, I'm pretty sure you're going to die. I can't remember. I don't think I died on that fight, but I fought other Massacres at that level. So, yeah, just be careful of that Special 2. Other than that, obviously have someone that can counter Miles up here, or, just be good with parry and heavy and know how to work around that. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one over here, which is... oh, yeah, this was the one that gave me some troubles. I had to use some revives during my completion on this particular boss, Rhino. And it was simply because I didn't read this node enough. So I'm just going to read it out and just explain it real quick. But the main thing about this fight you need to worry about is Tantrum. Everything else really doesn't matter. Obviously, that's how you get your attack damage. Power Shield is in there, Bubble Shield. So after 10 hits on your block, he's going to be unblockable. So you don't want to get hit, pretty much. And then he's got Matador as well. So every time he throws a special, that's when you get your special. So take that in mind, too. But back to Tantrum here. So what it is when the defender is struck by a basic attack, they gain a Tantrum charge. When the defender is knocked down, all Tantrum charges are removed, and each deals a burst of physical damage equal to 10% of the defender's attack to the attacker. So just be very, very aware of that. Now, while the defender has a concussion, disorient, innervate, or taunt debuff, all Tantrum charges are removed without causing damage, and the defender cannot gain Tantrum. Long story short, you want to have someone that can cause one of those buffs, or debuffs, excuse me. You want to bring in somebody that can cause a concussion, disorient, innervate, taunt debuff. So Spider-Gwen, Starkey's good, Emma Frost may work. There's a couple of champs you can use. Specifically, I think I used Cap, and I brought in the Night Thrasher synergy. So you can do that too for the quick kill. So that could work too. But let's go ahead and talk about the paths. But this is definitely a boss you want to be very wary of. And before you get there, make sure you look at those nodes. But anyways, okay, so let's look at this path over here. I think this is the one with Guardian. Yeah, that was a rough fight. So you're going to start here with Red Guardian, and then you're going to make your way over to Bishop as the final fight, which can be a little rough too with these nodes. So anyways, this has Static Blast, Extinction Protocol, and Specialist 2. So that Specialist 2 is important to pay attention to on this one, because Attacker Special Attack 2 deals 50% more damage, but other special attacks deal 50% less. So really, you want to bring in like your crazy Special 2 damage dealers. Corvus would be fine. Just any type of really crazy Special 2. Hawkbuster is good. There's tons of champs. Domino. There's a lot of champs that can handle this path. but you just really want to make sure you pay attention to that specialist too there. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Um, Pretty straightforward, but some of the bosses here, or some of the champs you're gonna face, are a little difficult. Mainly because of the nose, especially that bishop. That bishop is rough. I'm gonna tell you right now. Warlock though might actually be really good since he's sitting right there. He might be really good for this path as well. I believe I used him. But anyways, hardest fights in my opinion, definitely Guardian, definitely. Um, just annoying. It's just a long, annoying fight, depending on the level of the champ you're ringing in. And then, let me see here. And then Bishop, honestly. I mean, Magneto, he could be an issue, especially if you don't know how to dex that special one. You're going to want to have some good block proficiency. But at this point, I think you'll be fine. But anyways, let's go on over to the next path over here. So we're going to start out with Jane Foster, and we're going to make our way all the way over to Phoenix. So, this path is actually fun once you figure it out. I would strongly suggest doing 1 or 2 fights with this fight here, just to kind of get an idea of how it goes, because I think it was a new note in the game, I'm pretty sure. But pretty much, you got, let me see, what was that? Vivified, you got Power Suppression, you've got Power Alternator, and Unblockable Special, so just be wary of that, especially with Longshot and Tigra, because those are the very tough fights. And this Heimdall fight can actually be a little rough too, because you don't want to push them to that special too, because we all know it's unblockable. And you get the crazy stun afterwards, so you trust me, you don't want that. But anyways, I suggest just science champs here, because this power suppression, what it is every single time, actually I'll just read it. Whenever a science attacker activates a special attack, they have a 100% chance to innervate the defender for 6 seconds, preventing them from gaining power when struck. Whenever this innervate would expire, it consumes 1 debuff on the defender to reapply itself. So you really want to have someone that can, one, do debuffs on the opponent, and obviously, just really pay attention to that, because they have a 200% combat power rate. So you want to make sure you got them locked at all times if you can. Best champs for this path by far, I would say Void and Human Torch. I'm sure there's other science champs that would do great, but I'm telling you, Void and Human Torch are amazing. I would strongly suggest bringing in Killmonger to help Void out, because every time he throws that special one, he's regening a little bit back. So I would strongly suggest bringing in Void, since I used him for almost 90% of the fights, and then I threw in Human Torch. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go on to the final boss of this chapter, I believe. Yep. Okay, this is Green Goblin over here. One word, Magneto. Whether you like him or not, I would strongly recommend having at least a 455 Magneto. At the time, I had a rank 2 6-star Undu that I was using, but rank 4, it works just as well. So, excuse me. So anyways, we've got a Green Goblin boss here with redlining, power reserve, so be wary of that, cramping, and debilitate. Okay, so it's pretty much straightforward for the most part. You just have to be wary about the cramping node there. And let me see what the redlining is again. Okay, so when attackers have more than 33% of max power, they gain power gain passive, which raises combat power rate by 100%. So that really just helps you out. But it is tough to get a special 3 in this one. But, with Magneto, you can do the special 2 or special 1, and it's fine. So, if you can get the special 3 off, great. But it's going to be rough. But I would strongly suggest Magneto there. There's other champs you can use. You can really use anyone. But Magneto's just so good against it. Why put yourself through that, those problems? But anyways, I'm sure you can figure out your own, champ to take down this guy. It's really just a normal Green Goblin, pretty much. He's just stronger. But anyway, so let's look at the paths. So we've got Typhoon here on this path. We're going to start here with Venom the Duck, and then we're going to move all the way over to Mr. Vision over here. And let me see. So we've got Typhoon on this path. We've got Spite and Power Access 2, which actually helps you out. That helps you out a ton. What I would suggest here, based on the champs, let me see. I always forget what Typhoon is. I always have to read that every time. Okay. Yeah, so that's really just burning your power. So, I mean, based on who's here, I would say you really only need a counter to maybe Human Torch, maybe, and maybe Magneto. Or you can just fight him slow. But just take in mind he's got that Spite. Actually, they've all got Spite, so you don't want to bleed or poison or anything like that. So it's pretty much you're looking for crits, stuff like that. I would actually imagine, I didn't have him at the time, but let me see here. Oh, actually, I'm reading it wrong. My apologies, everyone. Spite, sometimes there's so many no's in the game, I forget. Spite is actually when you have a buff on yourself, so you don't want to bring champs with major buffs. So like Cosmic Ghost Rider, you might be able to get through it, but it's going to be rough. So, you know, guys like Cap are good here. Anyone that has good damage and they don't really need a ton of buffs, I would imagine Warlock would be pretty good. There's a ton of champs that can do it though, so just don't want to deal with buffs there. But it's pretty straightforward. I believe the same goes with this path too. So this path's going to be Red Skull. We're going to make our way all the way over to Emma Frost here. And this is special delivery, I believe. Yeah, so special delivery. So, you know, at this point, I'm sure you guys have, you know, you guys and girls, you've all taken care of special delivery before you fought that node. So you got special delivery. But just for the sake of the guide, the attacker begins the fight with 15 combo charges. Each landed basic attack decreases the combo charge by 1. And launching a special attack will reset the charges. So, you know, you just want to watch out for that. Make sure you don't, just don't slip up, because that degen you get is a lot. So just be very aware of that. Cosmics here have a huge advantage. Plus 40 Fury buff when you do a special attack. So, as you can imagine, Corvus, Hyperion, there's a ton of really, really good Cosmic champs that would be fine here. In fact, Ghost Rider, he might work, but you'd have to be really good with him. And then Mixed Master, so just be wary of that as well. If the attacker attempts the same basic attack twice in a row, the defender has a 100% chance to evade the second attack. So just be wary of that, okay? Other than that, that is pretty much it for this chapter. So we're going to go ahead and knock out the last chapter here, and hopefully I can finish this in under my time I originally did my first video. We will see. That didn't load correctly, unfortunately. It also took 3 hours to upload. But anyways, let's go ahead and get back in the game because we were frozen. Okay, alright, so final chapter for this particular part of my guide. Like I said, I will be doing part 2 later today. So yeah, so we've got all our bosses lined up over here, which is nice for the sake of the video. So you got a Hawkbuster over here you got to deal with, you got a Red Hawk you've got to deal with, and you have a Vision. Let's start with Vision. So Vision can actually be quite tough if you do not have the right counters for him. And Vision is just tough sometimes anyways, but depending on that RNG with the power and whatnot. But anyway, you got a power shield here, you got power reversal, you got Fissure, so be wary of that. But the main thing you have to worry about here is this special burst lockdown 2. So whenever a defender activates a special attack, the attacker is inflicted with both a heal block and an armor break debuff lasting 10 seconds, reducing armor rating by 35%. Okay, and obviously that power reversal, that comes into play too. What I suggest here, honestly, what I found to be the best champ to face him was Colossus and Doom. And the main reason for that is they are armor break immune. So any type of champ like that, I would think Thing might work pretty good too. I don't have Thing at a high enough level to use him, but I can't remember if he's Cold Snap immune. If he's not Cold Snap immune, it might not be the best, but I know he's armor break immune, so he should work very well too. And I'm sure you can figure out your own champs to bring in. But he is definitely he could be a nuisance for sure. So just make sure you got those nose covered before you get to that boss. So let's go ahead and go to this path. This is actually probably the most fun path in book 2, in my opinion. Because you've got Blaze, Power Shield, and Power Access. Pretty much, Blaze is a new node. Attackers take 100. Let me see here. Excuse me. Attackers take direct damage equal to 100% of their max health over 30 seconds. But their special attacks deal 500% more damage. So obviously you want some really fast power gainers here. I would imagine CGR will be amazing. I didn't have him though at the point of me doing 100%, so I might go back just for some fun. But anyways, you also have Power Shield too. So in essence, you're getting 900% attack on your extra attack, on your special attack. So pretty much heavy damage dealers, period. That's what you want for this path. It's really not hard. You're starting with Gambit, and then you're working your way over here to Joe Fixit. I mean, it's just very straightforward and fun. It's pretty much just a race. And if you got to use a potion or two, don't feel bad about it, you know. But hey, you know that's a very fun path. So let's go ahead and look at this one. Okay. So you definitely want to use science attackers here, but you're going to start with Strange, Doctor Strange, and you're going to work your way over here. Cable, Hyperion, Vision, OG, Phoenix, and then finally Loki over here. Hard fights, obviously Hyperion. And Vision, maybe. It just depends on if you're good at fighting Vision. I actually got lucky with Hype, and he kept throwing his special, so that was nice, because he definitely would have killed me with one special 3. But anyway, so on this path we've got That's Gonna Sting, we've got Backfire, we've got Power Alternator, and we've got Power Snack. Okay, so the main thing you really want to worry about is this, Backfire. So whenever science attackers perform a well-timed block, they apply a Power Sting debuff for 5 seconds. Every single time you do a parry, pretty much. And that takes 100% of the attacker's rating as a Power Sting whenever they, obviously activate a special attack. But then, take this in mind, the defender takes 90% reduced damage from all sources unless they're suffering from a Power Sting. So you got to make sure you have that Power Sting on. So science champs are very important here. MVP would probably be Yellow Jacket, and you could probably understand why. But if you have Yellow Jacket and Hawkbuster, there's a really crazy synergy where I think he does like, let's say 50%, 75% more damage on his Power Sting. So with this node, oh man, you'll just be sitting pretty. So yeah, I would strongly suggest Yellow Jacket and Hawkbuster if you can do it. If you can't, obviously any science champ is going to be fine here. Just make sure you feel confident with this Strange here. I would strongly suggest Void Cap, Human Torch, guys like that. I would imagine, maybe Quake could work here, maybe, but I don't know. I wouldn't try it. But anyway, so those are the 2 paths there. So let's go on to Red Hawk here. Red Hawk I actually soloed the first time with Domino, and that was just cool to me because Domino was my second. She was my second ever rank 5-5-star. So it was just cool that even though I'm at like, I don't know how many rank 5s I have at this point, but I can still use a champ that's technically old and do this content and have fun with it. So just take that in mind. But Domino's really good for this. The thing is here, we've got Defective Defense, Buffet, Power Focus, and Foresight. So obviously, again, that helps you out if you can intercept, if you feel confident. Power Focus, we pretty much know what that is, so I'm not going to go over that. Defective Defense though. So blocking attacks has a 100% chance to apply a disorient debuff to the attacker, reducing block proficiency and defensive ability accuracy by 25% for 12 seconds. Okay. So the chance is reduced by 50% flat if the block was well timed. So in other words, parry. The attacker can dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds to remove one of the debuffs. So just make sure, long story short, make sure you don't have that disorient on you, because I got screwed the second time going in there. And I think I definitely had to use 1 or 2 revives. And, you know, I was, oh, yeah, I could do it without Domino. So I would have to say Domino MVP for that fight. But I'm sure there's other champs that can handle it. The main thing is you just want to watch out for that disorient. Make sure you're doing parries. And, you know, fight Red Hawk accordingly. So let's look at the paths. So you're going to start over here. And you're going to start with, oh, this is fun. This is a fun one. Life transfer. But they have Gimme as well as Redouble Determination and Spectre. So, the main thing with this, let me see. So, Gimme, let's go over that because I think that's a new one. So, Gimme is whenever the attacker regenerates health, let me see, the defender is dealt direct damage equal to 400% of the health gained. So, that is really crazy, but you have to play it right. But anyways, the defender takes 75% less damage from all other sources. So it's really about you getting that life transfer, using that to your advantage as quickly as possible, and it just kind of just melts them down. And then just take in mind this too, for each debuff, defender gains 50% attack. So you really don't want to go with a ton of debuffs. I mean, if you can avoid it, you know, maybe bring in like a Cap or a Star-Lord would work fine. There's tons of champs that don't do you know, a ton of debuffs but are still good, so that's what I would suggest for that path. Hard defenders, definitely Mojo, especially if you're not good at fighting Mojo. That can be a pest. Watch out for Aegon, of course. I wonder if he's broken in the fight. I wonder if he's broken as a defender and he's not getting Furies right now. I don't know. I haven't tried it since the update. And Nova, of course, Nova. So those are really the ones you really want to watch out for. Make sure you have counters for. Other than that, pretty straightforward, leading up to Red Hawk. So let's look at the second path here. So the second path, we're starting out with Sentry. And we're going to make our way all the way over here to Venom Pool to finish it off. Now with this, let me see, you have Special Connoisseur, you have Mutant Mastery, and Shifting Immunity, Bleeding, Poison. So obviously the defender is going to shift between Bleed and Poison immune. But this is really the key to this entire path, Mutant Mastery. Whenever a mutant attacker applies a debuff to the defender, they have a 40% chance to gain an indefinite prowess buff, increasing special attack damage by 30%. This chance increases by 20% for each debuff on the defender. These prowess buffs are removed after the attacker finishes a special attack. So really, you just want to bring in really good mutants here. Let me see. And then the Special Connoisseur, just to refresh, the defender takes 90% reduced damage from all sources except special attacks activated while the attacker has an active prowess effect. So you really got to have that prowess going. Not that big of a deal. Get that debuff on them, you're good to go. And that's pretty much it. Just straightforward. Just obviously make sure you got counter. So as far as this, obviously watch out for Black Panther. I mean, yeah, he's the OG, but a lot of people still get tripped up sometimes. So just watch out for Black Panther, stun immune, you know, whatnot. Maybe make sure you have a counter to Thor or a mutant that can kill him fast enough, so you don't have to worry about that that special 3. Other than that, it's pretty easy lane, to be quite honest. It's pretty straightforward. So let's just go on to the final one of this particular part of my guide, and we are done. Now this was my final fight that I did to become Thronebreaker. I saved this path particularly for the last path, and I did this one live, as you guys remember if you watched it, and if not, go back and check it out. It was a great path. I was told it was epic, so but anyways, so we got Hawkbuster here. I honestly just suggest Magneto. Again, Magneto is very good for so much content in the game. I don't care if you like him or not. Just think about progression, you know, and just not making the game easier, but playing smarter. It's almost like working, you know, instead of working harder, work smarter. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing. But anyways, let's go back to Hawkbuster here. So he's got Hit Me If You Dare, or Hit Me I Dare You. He's got Spiked Armor. He's got Shockingly Brilliant. And he's got Dulled. So Dulled makes this fight a little bit longer, even for Magneto, but he can easily one-shot it. I did it twice. Second time was with my rank 2 Undupe 6-star. So he can do it. It's going to be a little bit of a long fight. You want to make sure you break his armor and then go for the special 3. Because you're going to have some problems getting those bleeds going. But anyways, let's talk about the paths. We'll discuss this one first. This is, actually I think there's one more section. Yeah. So you start down here at Star-Lord. This is Mesmerize, Dizzy, and Stun Vulnerability. Excuse me. So Stun Vulnerability. This is a really, really, really fun path. You just have to make sure you have the counters, or you're good with the parry heavy mechanic, or, you know, one parry, 3 hits, back out, you know, whatever. But make sure you're only hitting them while they're stunned, unless you are using Falcon. And I'll be honest, he is the MVP for this path, and he can easily get through every single fight. Easily, as long as you understand how to use his recon mode. He pretty much just shuts it down. So I would strongly recommend Falcon for that path, or, you know, obviously a True Strike champ or something like that if you can. Champs to watch out for, really just Elsa, and that's only because I didn't know that she could cause degen when she bleeds. I didn't know that, and my Falcon got wiped out, and I didn't even take a hit. But yeah, just be wary of her if you're using a champ that causes bleed. You do not want to bleed her. Other than that, pretty straightforward. Let me see here. Yeah, and then you got Arona. You got, now Namor, of course. You might want to know how to fight Namor. I got wiped out on a special 3 because I think I just was too hesitant. And he got that special 3 and it was over. But then I went back in and cleaned him up with Cap. So, you know, it just depends on how you want to play that one. But it's really not that bad. And then, yeah, obviously you've got Hulkbuster there. So last path we're going to be covering here. And I think I'm going to beat my time, which is great. That I did my first video that didn't upload correctly. But anyways, we've got our last path here that we're covering. And this is going to be Crumbling Armor. Gloves are off. Kinetic Transference, and Heal Block Advanced. So obviously no healing in this fight, so take that in mind. Gloves are off though, so attackers, whenever attacker removes their own armor up buff, or it expires, or it is removed by an armor break, they have a 30% chance to gain a fury buff, increasing attack by 50% for 8 seconds every single time. This chance is increased by 15%, excuse me, for every attacker armor up buff that has expired. So, I mean, there's some really good champs for this. I would strongly recommend Warlock, and Warlock, maybe Gilly 99. I'm not sure. I don't have her at a high level, but I think she would do fine there. And also Hawkbuster for sure. Hawkbuster is very good on this path. Very good if you know how to use them. So, you know, it's not really that bad. You got a Black Widow. She can be a little annoying. Pretty simple. Watch out for that Spider-Gwen. Of course, Rogue, you know, he's got that fast debuff shrug. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Hit Monkey, of course, don't knock him down if you can avoid it. Don't knock him down. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, so that's going to do it for part 1 of my book 2. 100% guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and upload this now, and I'll probably come back a little bit later in the evening and get the second part uploaded. So if you enjoyed the guide, of course you can leave a comment if you'd like. Obviously I'll always hit you back. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that. And hopefully you guys and girls will enjoy part 2 of my guide coming in maybe a couple hours. We'll see. So, all right. I appreciate everyone that stopped by. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. And stay healthy, everyone. Take care.